Could you guys introduce yourselves and kind of what you do for a living?
Yeah, I'm Aubree, Aubree McNell, co-owner of Bravas and Brox.
Man, I'm Christopher Maxey, co-owner of Bravas and Brox, the
Nice.
bartender there.
Yeah.
And server up front,
Mhm.
run the front there, and Chris does all the back. So
So how do you guys keep the split there? Is it considered two separate businesses or?
It's under one LLC, but
Mhm.
it is very much ran as two separate businesses, and that's kind of where we shine as a trio. The other owner is my fiance, Becky
Mhm.
Williams, her mom, and I've always been a bartender at heart. That's
Mhm.
what I love to do. That's where my passion is. I can run a restaurant. I have managed restaurants. I don't have a passion for that. It's
Right.
not my thing.
Mhm.
She does. She's
yeah,
an amazing as with the wine, with the food.
Mhm.
That's where her
yeah, it's kind of fun. We certainly are each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
I
That's
I
kind of always
bartended and
the
stuff,
best.
but I wouldn't also say it's a passion of mine
Mhm.
per se. Can do it, but I love more of kind of the service side of things, the experience, the atmosphere,
Mhm.
um, events, stuff like that.
Right.
Chris throws a mean party, but
It's true.
we
Yeah.
don't know, But I don't focus on that, and it's worked out really, really well.
Mhm.
To be honest with you, yeah.
Well, one of the things I always point out to people when they have complaints about restaurants or bars or whatever is that it's difficult to run and have it run consistently with like the same quality that you can expect to have it each time you come in. And I think you guys do probably one of the best jobs around in just a constant quality standard. Um, can you kind of tell people kind of how difficult it really is and like what you guys think you do best to kind of keep the quality consistent?
Yeah, I would say it is tough, but it helps that there's the three of us
Hmm.
with those strengths and weaknesses. Becky, the third owner, she's all books, all numbers.
Hmm.
That's really where she shines.
and
So
that's kind of her passion though too,
truly.
which is
Hmm.
weird to me, but
Right.
that's she's amazing at it.
Right.
So
Um, so I think it's just being able to focus on our small areas. I think it would be really difficult if it was one person
Hmm.
kind of trying to oversee. It's a fairly large business,
Right.
trying to oversee all of the different areas. The fact that we are able to kind of hone in on number one, what we're passionate about and what
Hmm.
we're good at, and really focus on that really leads to the quality,
Hmm.
that you mentioned.
something else is we're working owners. We're there every day. We're
Right.
there 80 hours a week. We don't own the business and let other people run it. I think
Hmm.
that's where your consistency really falls down in any
I
business.
agree.
Yeah.
It's if you put someone else in charge that doesn't have the same passion you do, which if it's not their business, they're not going to have that passion,
Hmm.
then it's just not going to work. That's we're there all the time
Yeah.
on the floor doing
Yeah,
Yeah.
doing the work.
people don't love it like we do, and we don't expect them to.
Right.
They don't have those emotional attachments like
Hmm.
we do. So it does help that we're there,
Hmm.
almost all the time.
So as far as like whether it be inventory or kitchen staff or anything like that, what's kind of the most difficult part of running kind of the restaurant side?
um, Most difficult part. I mean, there's always many small things. I don't think that there's any really big challenges that I feel like I face often.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess just keeping things consistent, I think, is tough. It really is. Keeping everybody on the same page, lots of communication between that. We do have a pretty phenomenal kitchen manager and assistant kitchen manager. That's kind of the one area. Chris is the bar. I
Hmm.
do kind of the service, the front, the catering, kind of organizing all of that. But I'm not a chef. Chris isn't a chef, so I would say the kitchen is probably making sure that we put a lot of faith and a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but in a way it's pressure on our kitchen manager and assistant kitchen manager to make sure that their area is being ran,
Hmm.
to our expectations. And I would say that's probably the toughest part, because we are a little less we can't be as hands-on. We're not chefs,
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we do put a lot of faith in them to do what they do, and they do deliver.
Right.
They do a fantastic job. I would say that's probably the tougher part of it, because
Mm-hmm.
you almost have to relinquish that control and trust somebody else
Right.
to do that.
And what about the bar side? What do you think? What do you think is kind of you guys' most difficult part of the job, and how do you keep it just consistent?
Um, a lot of the difficult parts of a normal bar we don't have, which is
Mm-hmm.
inventory. It's loss of product, and it's usually loss of product either getting over poured or in house.
Mm-hmm.
As being the main bartender, we haven't lost a bottle or inventory in 5 years, which is unheard of in the bar
Mm-hmm.
industry.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm blessed
Mm-hmm.
from being a bartender for 28 years, from being in this industry, from working locally in this industry since 2011 when we became owners.
Mm-hmm.
I got to cherry pick my staff
Nice.
from all over town. I have people that said, if you ever own something, I want to work for you, I want to work with you. And I think that's the hardest part of any other business right now is finding staff, finding good staff, finding
Right.
any staff is almost impossible right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a crew front, back, and bar that could rival some places I've worked at in like Vegas right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah, it does show. I noticed like you seem to have more control over the inventory in the back as far as measuring things out, especially because you guys do kind of more like high quality drinks. Everything's pretty consistent quality there. It, you have your set recipes. It seems like kind of you're always seeing like muddling and all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't really see around town that often. That kind of adds to the atmosphere and everything as well. Because I mean, it's pretty cool. Pretty
sure.
cool space.
We like to be unique too. I mean, that's another thing is there's plenty of bars to go throw darts at or play pool in town or to get a quad shot vodka cran. I wanted to do something different. That's why we don't have TVs on at all
Right.
in our bar. We have one TV in the corner, but it's not even audible. It's just playing random videos and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, bring that quality, that little tiny bit of Vegas or craft cocktail lounge to a place like Lewiston, Idaho, where anytime someone new walks in, they're like, wow, we didn't even know something like this existed in our area.
Right. Yeah.
And then go forward with that with the music and like the burlesque shows and the pop culture parties, things like that. Just a little twist on something that isn't anywhere else.
Right. And I do enjoy your events. What can you tell us about all of those events? How often you put them on? Which ones they are, and that kind of thing?
So we just got done doing burlesque. Was the last 2 weekends. That runs about twice a year. That takes about 6 months to put together. It's all volunteers. It's all local people. Those girls and gentlemen put in a lot of extra hours. It's a lot of Sundays that everybody volunteers to put that show together. November, we have our next wizard party coming up. I don't think I can say the actual name due to copyright, but it's a Wizarding World party. It'll be the
Nice.
6th year we've been doing that. Have a couple other bigger names coming. Jason Michael Carroll, I know Groundwork does him too. We have him coming back in December. We
Nice.
have the lead singer or the old lead singer of, oh man, Saving Abel.
Yeah.
Saving Abel coming to play for our New Year's Eve show.
You had him this last year as well, right?
No, that show got canceled, and
Oh,
he
yes,
went
that's
a
right.
little more north to Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene and stuff. But he's coming back through to do kind of acoustic set shows.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, Scotty Austin is his name. He's coming, and then I have a couple that aren't signed yet, but a couple other secrets up the sleeve. Yeah.
Nice. And then the last few years, well, I've noticed, and a handful of other people noticed that you started getting in kind of higher end pours of kind of like limited release whiskeys and stuff like that. What made you get into that? Is it just another thing that just kind of set you apart, or?
I'm a collector. I'm a hoarder personally.
Yeah.
And Becky hates that, but I am. But I was able to mix that private passion of mine with my bartending passion, and whiskey bourbon collecting is kind of all a rage right now. And
Yeah.
and finally, I had the money to start doing it. We had excess money. I didn't have the money to buy $1,000 bottles when we first started. That just wasn't going to happen. But I saved everything up in the business to start purchasing, and then those high-end bottles, as we sell them, re-roll into other high-end bottles. And we've slowly built a collection. I think I have about 40 or 50 in the safe right now that are pretty decent. I'm admiring your blood oath.
There's a packed one in there. It's not in the right box, but there's packed, should be 1, 2. I might have got
a 2 and 3.
A little buzzed up and open 3. So I don't know exactly what I have in there, but there's some good ones in there.
Yeah, no, those if they're full, we should talk.
Yeah. All right. And do any of the events spill over into the restaurant side, or?
Depending, that wizarding party has grown so big the last couple of years. It is one of the only events that we shut down the restaurant and kind of open the 2 spaces up together, just for capacity's sake,
right.
Because we've really needed the extra space. So that is one event that Brava's pretty much every year participates in. And it is a great party.
Yeah.
And this last one was just so outrageous that we might have to maybe limit tickets this year, or maybe raise the price, because it's grown so big. We have people coming down from Moscow and Pullman, and kind of all over the surrounding areas to participate. It's the word about it has really gotten out, but
nice.
But not a ton. That is kind of one of the reasons that we've opted to keep kind of Bravas and Brocs with the separate names. Because Brocs does a lot of these events and stuff that Bravas doesn't necessarily participate in, mainly because the spaces, there's like a hallway in between, so it is kind of difficult to kind of participate together with these events. But it is easier for the public to know, hey, Brocs is putting on an event. It's not happening in Brava space, so therefore we can go out to dinner. We get a lot of questions. You guys are open, right? I know Brocs has a concert or a ticketed event this evening. Yep, we're open. We're separate. We're able to. We have this really cool bookshelf made that creates kind of a speakeasy, and so we can kind of close it off and lock it, and really privatize the bar side, which has been really neat. That allows to still have that kind of private dining experience up in Bravas. There's a few things that we do collab on, but
ultimately this goes back to kind of running them different. Brava's is very much a fine dining bistro wine atmosphere. Brava's is Brocs is a little more speakeasy, not seedy, but dark, old 20s cocktail, gangster lounge, and we kind of operate like that. We operate a bit darker than she wants to see, the front and things like that.
Right.
And it creates that duality too for different clientele. That you have your nice high-end clientele that just want a nice dinner, want a nice glass of wine, and don't want a burlesque dancer running by them. That's
right.
That it makes sense, but
could be the case.
Yeah.
I do notice there's definitely 2 different tones to each, like the decor even and stuff like that. It definitely feels like 2 different places. I usually tend to stick to the back. I've eaten in Brava's a handful of times, I think, but I've been to Brocs a ton. And but the menus are kind of shared mostly, right?
Yeah.
Both, yeah. The menus, the food menus and the cocktail menus are the same front and back. It is literally just the atmosphere you're kind of looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the back's open later, or?
Yes.
For the most part?
Yeah. 10 o'clock on the weekdays. It closed Monday and Tuesday completely, and then usually till midnight. Unless we're making $100 an hour, we'll stay open till 2 a.m. But we're kind of the starter bar. We're not where people go to end the night.
No, I haven't seen like a ton of problem customers come through you guys' place. So if people are looking for that nice place to have a conversation or anything like that, or listen to some music and order the trivia, it's all a lot more laid back. You don't feel like you're gonna get bumped into or barfed on or anything like that.
No, we very much take pride in being that safe space for everybody. And that's if they want a bar like that. There's one right next door.
Right. And I feel like having the drink types that you do kind of makes people that are looking for that shy away a little bit anyways.
Sure, yeah.
So they might be like, "Oh, yeah, I'll have a couple of these," and then they'll probably head out.
Yeah.
Do you notice a lot of that kind of early, kind of late night crowd? Do you notice like a lot of table turns kind of right in that time zone?
Usually it's the dinner time. Like I said, we're very much the beginning crowd. If you're looking for a really good cocktail or two, or wanted to listen to some music, or have a business meeting, or hang out and enjoy whatever festivity we have going on, we're definitely not a Jaeger bomb bar.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
and we do have those customers that wander in and they order one and they're like, "Oh yeah, this isn't for me. I wanted to play darts." Great, no problem.
Yeah.
I'll point you in the right direction.
But yeah, and I feel like both sides are really great for like a date night scenario, and it's kind of one of the spots that I stick to if we're going out to dinner and don't want to be around groundwork where we work at or something.
Right.
So we usually head out to your guys' place, which I appreciate, and I can count on it. Being delicious, having good drinks every single time.
We appreciate it too.
And I don't think a lot of people do appreciate, the small difficulties that, restaurants run into. Like inventory's kind of strange sometimes. And I don't know if the drinks kind of run into the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, they definitely
Food
do.
prices, and
Yes.
making sure consistent inventory is in stock. Yeah, it's
The quality that we offer.
Yeah.
Making sure that we have
Yeah, especially you guys' menu is a little bit different. I imagine getting your hands on some stuff might change a menu item quite a bit if you don't have a specific ingredient.
We had been working on updating the menu for quite some time, and every time we lock something, and of course we bought it in January of 2020, so right off the get-go we didn't really have choose the best time. So
3 months before COVID.
Right.
There was a lot of struggles with just what was available, what we could get our hands on, and it seemed like we'd get a really good grasp of the products that we'd be able to get, and we would build cocktail menus, food menus around that, and then all of a sudden the products vanish. They're discontinued, or you can't get, you just can't order them. They're just out of stock. And
Right.
so it took a while, especially coming out with this new menu, to find ingredients of quality that we would consistently be able to get. So, it has been a challenge for sure. But
I think that's a lot of things that the general public won't see and
Absolutely,
maybe judge restaurants upon. And I haven't really seen a whole lot of variance in your guys' product. I don't think, at least the things I order. I really enjoy the bite size. A lot of people claim to have the best one, but you guys might have it.
yeah, according to the public, we do.
Yeah.
So, it's fun. It's fun. We do make some killer bite size. We do know our bite size. So.
Yes, yeah, and I order that a lot. The house salad with the poppy seed dressing. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to.
That's a favorite.
Phase that one out.
Yeah, I think she's there to stay.
Yeah,
that's something we'd make from scratch in house. So
really, the dressing and everything.
Down to the pickled onions.
Down to the onions are scratch made.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Those are really good.
I think that's really what sets Brava's apart from a lot of the different restaurants. Not only just we have a very unique menu, we offer very unique products, but the fact that everything is made from scratch, or 95% of things.
I think everything except the pasta and bread
Yeah.
is pretty much made in house.
Yeah.
Pasta, that'd probably be pretty labor intensive there.
We've tried
we'd
before.
love to do
but
it.
Yeah.
But it's not really conducive to, we just don't really have the capability of doing that. We're an old building, and everything's been renovated about as much as it can be. We can't create any more space. So, but I think that making everything from scratch, even though it is labor intensive and it does cost more money, certainly, it shows in our products, you know, and that goes down to, Kris makes his own sweet and sour and his simple syrups and his infused syrups and stuff like that, because it really tastes better. You can taste that, and it really sets you apart.
Yes.
You can keep the consistency too. Like we have had a problem with the meat we were ordering, the Terrace Major for our bite size. But since we cut it in-house, we marinate it in-house, everything else, we've been able to substitute a different cut and people have not noticed.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Sure.
I mean, we're back to the Terrace Major we used to use, but for a minute there, we were scrambling to find something else to substitute. But because of that scratch-made quality, you can get a lot more consistent product.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, some new things you got going on. You let me know about whiskey flights.
Oh, yeah.
How's that been going?
You're one of the few people in town that even know it exists.
Oh,
We've soft opened that.
Yeah.
That isn't the menus aren't even really posted yet. They should be here next week, but
really?
I'd go to place as any as to let people know. Yeah,
Well,
we got some whiskey flights coming.
There you go. What's the idea there? Are you gonna have a specific types that are lined up, or is it kind of pick and choose, kind of like a beer flight, or?
So no pick and choose. There's about 10 different options on the menu right now, and it's entry level up to your big baller captains, $300 flights that have Pappy Van Winkle and Heritage number 16 and just some of the bad boys, the Blood Oath trilogy on there. But then there's also beginner ones, Basil Hayden. The 4 different types of Basil Hayden, your toast, your 8-year, your red wine cask, and your dark rye. It's just so people that are starting that bourbon palate can kind of start understanding what a little variance really can taste like by having those flights back to back like that. And it's basically you kind of buy 3 shots, you get 1 free. So it's also a cheaper way to start that palate for somebody that is a heavy connoisseur or just beginning. We have a Crown Royal flight, for beginners. So you definitely know what vanilla versus apple Crown tastes like.
Yeah, that would probably be a pretty cool way to, like, you might be able to get a beginner flight and like a higher tier flight and see kind of what the difference is between, you really are getting a kind of a different experience for your dollar. I don't think a lot of people have tried, the higher dollar whiskeys where they're just maybe not familiar with, what it might taste like at all. And they just think it's just limited or brand name attached.
Sure,
but
yeah.
there's just probably a lot more love has went into these, kind of like anything with the wines. I'm sure you have, the higher end wines and then the house wines.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you get into any of the local wines or?
For the last several years, we have had a lot of different local wineries on the menu. I've attempted to do something different. A few months ago, I released a new list, and I actually removed some of those local wines from offering them all the time, just because they're often out of stock, which is a great problem to have,
Yes.
but it's not really conducive to having a large portion of your list unavailable. So what we've done is that roughly every other month, we change up different wineries and we bring in local wineries. Right now we're featuring Clearwater Canyon's spring release. So
Those guys are awesome.
They're fantastic.
Yes.
We love Clearwater. So that's what we're featuring currently this month, and then probably over into June. If they have more, they sell out fast.
Yes.
So I do really like to feature that just because this is a fantastic growing wine region. Really cool to honestly be a part of.
Yes.
I think 20, 30 years down the road, we are on the map, and everybody will know about us. So it's really cool.
I mean, the wine's too good.
It's too good.
Yes.
Yeah. So to really kind of see the beginning of this kind of that first real decade of establishing this as a really respected wine region is really cool. And I want to be a part of it for sure.
Yeah.
But, with that, they sell out fast. They're all of these wineries are growing and really trying to get a good grasp on how to be a big winery and, and produce for, the United States or more than just our little Pacific Northwest area. But to broaden all of that. So we definitely offer it. And your servers, your bartenders, they all know what we're featuring at the time. So you're more than welcome to ask, what do we have that's local,
Right.
and we keep a couple. I've got some Culture's Creek. They're somewhat local, they're Julietta. So we've got a few of their fall releases left. But yeah, so we like to kind of rotate through. Yeah.
And I've noticed that there was some pretty good like import ones on there.
Yeah, yeah. I like to bring in some fun. Kind of every region in the world really produces its own types of wine. I mean, they're very specific to their area. They really show almost their culture and the palette of the region, really. So I like to offer that. There's not a lot of places here in town. I was quite surprised that offer a lot of those imports. So this becoming a developing wine region, I love to be a part of the development of the palate,
Right. Yes.
and getting people to try a South African Sauvignon Blanc.
Right.
Everybody's quite familiar with a Marlborough, Sauv Blanc, but a good old New Zealand Sauv Blanc, but South African one, it's so adventurous.
Yes.
So
I better try it.
yeah.
Yeah.
We do have one that's quite fun. So
Do you get into answering questions about pairing it with your guys' menu often, or?
yeah, absolutely. Some people are interested in doing that. Others not so much. They just want to drink what they like.
Right.
But it is quite fun, and just ask your server. Hey, what do you recommend with this? We really try to arm our servers and bartenders with that knowledge to make a good recommendation. So
I usually don't try to do too much pairing. I try to just drink what I like and then also eat what I like.
And that's perfectly okay.
Haven't been steered wrong,
That's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
When you get into the pairing, I mean, it opens your mind to all of these incredible possibilities that, but that it's perfectly acceptable to drink and eat what you like.
It is kind of nuts when you get someone who does know wine and like small pairings, and they do it really well, how nicely they do fit together.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it just changes the flavor of the wine. It's really a neat concept, but baby steps. So start with drinking what you like.
Correct. Yes.
Move on from that.
Yeah, and you got to find out what you like first.
Absolutely.
With both wines and whiskeys, because I mean, there's I think my favorite whiskey is it's a Redbreast.
Oh, okay.
The Irish whiskey, but I do get into bourbons a lot because, I think my dad got me into bourbon quite often, and he's a Blanton's freak,
right.
So I drink that pretty often. You steal something from your dad often enough, you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's right.
You can develop that palate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Said you'll have to let him know I got that gold label then.
Oh yes, yeah. I'll have to forward that to him. It's kind of like black coffee or anything. Like no, I don't think anyone really enjoys that first black coffee they've ever had.
Sure.
But you kind of end up. I mean, I drink a pot of coffee a day, and I try to get some different grounds and all kinds of stuff. It's kind of the same with getting into wine and whiskey, because I mean, if you just buy a $200 glass of whiskey at your guys' place, and it's the first whiskey they've ever had,
they're
not gonna have a good time.
No, they're not gonna understand what that $200
Right.
went to, and rightfully so. I mean, there's even some that even after doing this for 30 years, I question. As there's some high ends that I said I'd never pay like that again for. There's like that Hennessy Paradis, beautiful bottle, but it tastes just like the $30 Hennessy for $2,000 a bottle.
There's some brands that just definitely have their taste, and it doesn't matter what they do. I feel like they can't get away from it.
Yeah. Jameson is
right.
Anything Jameson, even their flavored stuff still tastes like Jameson, like the orange. But then you have stuff like Blood Oath, which is
quite a bit different.
Holy
each batch.
Cow!
Yeah.
Every single one has been a home run. That's the dude doing that is incredible.
And I don't know why we bought these, but we just started buying them.
You're smart.
Yeah.
To buy them.
Yeah. I think we definitely did stop. I don't know if Dad's been buying them and stuffing them in his house or what, but we got those. I know Shania's like, Daryl got the new one.
Yeah.
That's like, all right.
Yeah. It's a game Shania and I play. That's is who gets it first. So
I'll go to her house and get her get her a little bit tuned up, and I'll get her to open them all so she doesn't have them anymore. Get a
Oh my
leg up.
I appreciate it.
Well, what else do you guys have coming up that you'd like to have people know about?
In back, not a lot right now. I mean,
Summertime is just kind of busy for itself, you
Yeah,
know. We're
that's
just
true.
strapping up for the tourism and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, which is growing
Mhm.
like exponentially year by year. It's crazy. And
Right.
kind of being in the historic downtown, you don't really have to do a whole lot.
Mhm.
People just come wandering through, which is it's cool. Yeah.
Right.
So
there's a
think-
lot of the outside stuff happening now
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
There's the weddings now. There's all the outside caters.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of mechanical stuff
Mhm.
that we're doing, not giving a lot of time to do something in-house.
Mhm.
But Lewiston is not kind of a summer destination either. I think we would
Yeah.
do a lot more if we were Coeur d'Alene, for instance.
Yeah.
People leave this hellhole during the summer and
they call it Hell's
Yeah.
Canyon
yeah,
for a reason.
yeah, that's
if you can't get on the river that often, then it's just hot.
It is
Yeah.
hot. Yeah.
Or if you have a pool, I don't know.
Well, we do
There's definitely some things that help.
we
but-
do cocktails to go still. I mean,
there
that
you
was
go.
the one good thing about COVID.
Oh,
So you
man.
can get your cocktails through the river.
I did not take one to the movie theater.
I mean, well, not condoning that. Just on record.
It's bad. Don't sneak it in there.
Yeah, downtown does lots of events, which is cool
Mhm.
to kind of be in the middle of that. The Sound Downtown and you know, Hot August Nights. I mean,
Right.
we are really right in the heat of it.
Right.
So literally
It's
and
an easy place to
figuratively.
wander in and have
Yeah.
a drink, and then I did
Absolutely.
that during Art Walk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Art Walk
so it
is
kinda
another great one.
Came
Yeah.
through, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just walk through here real quick, get
Yeah,
a
you
drink.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that works out for us. In the off season, you know, just the community slows down a little
Mhm.
bit, and so we do like to offer kind of those events and stuff. I mean, we always do live music and
Mhm.
you know, trivia every Wednesday and
Right.
and stuff like that. But in the summertime, we're open and busy every day, you
Mhm.
know, just because we're there and
Right.
we're in a great location. They have those river cruises coming through and those tour buses, and we've actually been fortunate enough to host some of those groups and do dinner, and they drop them off and they come
That's-
in and do dinner, and they get to walk up and down, you know, Main Street. So that's super cool.
Brock's will actually be
Oh.
closed tomorrow because we are hosting the first dinner of the season for the riverboat
cool.
cruises. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that how often do you close down for specific groups like that? And is it easier to manage, like if you have X amount of plates, or
Well, it's not that it's easier to manage, it's that Brock's is 68 seats. That's how many we have if a butt is in every seat. Those riverboat cruises can be up to 74 people.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we have to set up an extra table. So it's just, it's no point in
Right.
opening it to the public if there's no place to put the public.
right?
So,
Yeah.
and we still have Bravas open. That's another one of those good ways we
Right.
can play off each other.
Just
is
spill it over into
Yeah,
there and say,
just-
hey, yeah, we're still have seating
still get
over
your
here.
drinks. Yeah,
Right.
we're still serving drinks out of there. We just don't have any room in back. And we do those cruise dinners on off days, Tuesdays or Thursdays. Thursdays is usually our game night, or we call it nerd night.
Mhm.
We hire a professional dungeon master to throw a D&D
Oh, nice.
thing. I mean, it's something a little different. It's hard to get introverts out of their house, so
Right.
it's a nice quiet place for them to come without being overstimulated, you
Right,
know, and
yeah.
still do something fun.
Yeah. And bringing it back, how did you guys stumble in on getting into this business?
Well, let Chris start. Chris was there first.
I went through some medical stuff and had just gone through a really bad point in life to where I was homeless and everything else,
Mhm.
and said I was going to give it one more shot. I was a janitor. I mean, I had all of these years of bartending, but couldn't get into bartending anywhere in town. So I was the janitor for Home Depot for 3 months, and I walked in. I was putting applications in every day after work, and walked into Brava's with the old owner and said, I'll mop the floors, I'll do anything to get my foot in the door.
Mhm.
And got hired the next day. And ironically, the bar manager, they were going through a really rough patch of bad management. The bar manager just no called, no showed the next day.
Oh, Lord.
My first day of work, and I started working the bar.
Throw me in,
Oh, man.
coach.
Yeah. And from that point on, I said, okay, this is it. This is my last chance to turn my life around and do something different. And I'm going to treat this like my own. And by putting that work in, at one point in time, after the first 2 years, I was running Bravas and Brocs and everything by myself. And it was killing me.
Yeah.
And so I was going to take a job somewhere else in town, and the old owner said, look, if you stick this out with me for another 2 years, I will sell it to you. And so I agreed to the pay cut and to stay and to stick it out and to keep doing what I was doing. And she held good to her word and borrowed a bunch of money from a friend, because I didn't have any startup. I didn't have any capital. I mean, I was a bartender, making $7 an hour. That's loaned us the money and called Aubree and said, we really want to make this a family thing, and I know all the parts I'm lacking is what you're incredible in, the wine, the food, the higher class of it. I mean, to put it in a way.
Oh, don't cut yourself short there.
But that finesse of it.
Sure. Yeah.
More than I have that. And she agreed and moved, uprooted her whole life from, she can tell you the rest of that, uprooted her whole life from Montana and her friends and family and said, let's do this. And like we said, 3 months before COVID hit, we went $250,000 in debt.
Yeah. It was not a good time.
Yeah, that was a wild ride for sure.
Yeah. But we're still here.
Sure.
There was places that 50 years that COVID destroyed.
Yeah. It tanked a lot of places.
And we didn't have anything in the bank or anything, and that passion alone.
Yeah, that and grit.
Yeah,
Where,
you had to get creative. You had to do
refusal to fail.
Just stuff out of the ordinary.
Like you mentioned, I uprooted my whole life. I loved. I'm from here originally, but lived in Montana for 12 years and worked in the hospitality management field over there. It's a big touristy area where I was from. Loved what I did. Made really good money and ran some restaurants over there. Helped start up some restaurants, and I really do have a passion, for it. But I have a bunch of family here. I was born here, and so I would visit often. And my mom started dating this guy, and I said, well, I better take a trip down and see what this is all about. And it was Christmas time, and I came in to the restaurant and the bar, and he made me one of his famous Christmas meals, and just really kicked back and had good food and had a good time, and kind of came to me with this idea, hey, what do you think about taking over this place? What if we go in on this together? And Bravas and Brocs had so much potential, and I knew that I could make it even better, and grow it. So it was kind of on a whim, when everything was kind of said and done. We had talked about it for quite a while, but when the ball got rolling, it took off, and so it was really swift that I, quit my job and I packed up all my stuff and moved over December 1st, 2019. Spent about 30 days working, with Kris and the previous owner, just to kind of get a really good idea of their procedures and what works really well and kind of things that I wanted to maybe change or amend. And the rest is history. So
I don't know if I've ever been there prior to you guys taking over. How much different is it?
We've heard that a lot, actually.
When I got there, I think half of the reason I got hired is because people had given up. They were just like, whatever. And it might have been a tax. I don't know. Any of that is not fair for me to say or speculate or anything else. But it was,
it was struggling.
It was struggling. That the management that the owner had hired to bring in was destroying the place, was using it as a personal piggy bank. And I think that once right, and know she had written Brock's side off, and she was focusing on just retaining Brava's. And after a year, when I upped Brock's numbers by 1,400% in 1 year, she kind of went, okay, because every past manager had told her, it's not us, it's not the management, it's the location, it's this, it's that, it's this place will never work because it's in downtown Lewiston on F Street. Nobody knows we're here. And I said, let's play to our strengths. Let's turn it into a speakeasy. Let's say it's hard to find for a reason. Let's utilize that and show her that it has nothing to do with the location. It's how you run it. And
Yeah. And like you said earlier, I think when you said you brought her in to play to things that aren't your strengths, I don't think a lot of people do that in business. They don't kind of understand what they're good at. They try to just do everything and kind of just run themselves into the ground.
Yeah. Proof's in the numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers that I had were good. The numbers we have as a team are unfathomable.
I think that's exactly what happened under a previous owner and management. One person trying to do it all. It's not realistic. You know, it's hard. And that's a big business to try and run all the angles, you know. So,
especially because it's not just two, it's almost three separate businesses, because it's the bar, it's the restaurant, but then it's a catering company on top of it where we do caters for giant events outside of that too.
Right.
And that's one person can't do all of that.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
How often do you guys get into catering? How often do you do events or gigs or
once a week on average?
Really?
At least, yeah.
At least.
We've honestly had to turn down a lot just because we don't really have the capacity to do it. You know, we're open to the public 6 days a week, and at least the restaurant is. You know, and when you're open, you have customers all day long, and we have a fairly small kitchen. Like I mentioned earlier, it's an old building. It's been renovated as much as it can.
Right.
You know, we have invested in brand new equipment, beautiful equipment. Just marvel at how it shines. But that's kind of all you can do. You know, is make sure that you can just do as much as you can, the best you can. So unfortunately, we do have to turn down some of those events. We certainly get a lot of inquiries for sure. But we have to kind of pick and choose just because we don't have the capacity or space to take care of the public along with, you know, doing a lot of these offsite things. So we do a fair amount.
We just got done doing the library, the big gala at the library.
Nice.
That was a 150 person cater the same night as burlesque was going on. So our kitchen staff is still a little
a little frazzled.
Recovering.
Yeah.
Get them some Gatorades.
We do a big catering event every 3 or 4 weeks or so for Schweitzer Engineering. This is the biggest that we do for about 650 people. We do their day shift and night shift, kind of buffet style lunch. Schweitzer's nice enough to buy their employees lunch on Fridays, and so they rotate through other caterers here in the valley. We get them about every 3 or 4 weeks, so that's a big one. That's all hands on deck. You know, 5 o'clock in the morning, getting it done, making sure it's fresh. We don't pre-do anything, you know, it's all done fresh day of, and that's just before we're even open to the public. So by the time that the doors open at 11 a.m., we're already out the door, you know, on site, kind of doing that. So
nice.
We have to be strategic kind of about how we use our space. But we definitely love to do the catering and be a part of, you know, outside events for sure. The kind of what we do in-house really is our main focus, which is kind of why we do kind of shut down some of those requests. But if we have the capacity to do it, we absolutely would love to say yes, for sure.
Nice. And I do know you guys are downtown on Main Street, kind of right in that area. I know a lot of effort's been kind of, especially in the last few years, kind of been pushing towards kind of revitalizing it a bit. Do you guys, did that have any sway in you guys acquiring this place, or is it just kind of a place that you kind of ended up loving and wanting to stick with?
I think that was it more than anything, is that I walked in the door treating Brock's like my own because nobody else was treating it that way. And I fell in love with the bar. And then the family that I already love, I think they fell in love with the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and
I love the downtown. When I was growing up here, when I was younger, there wasn't a lot in the downtown. I remember the old Liberty Theater. I think I watched the one of the gosh, what is it called? It's an old Christmas movie. I think it was the last movie I ever saw there. It's slipping my mind right
Wonderful
now.
Life.
Oh, that was way before my time, Chris.
I think, I've only been there a handful of times. I hope they get that back up and running.
I hope so. There's some talks for sure. But I mean, there was Main Street Grill. I mean, the Bojack's, which I was a little young to go into Bojack's, but there was a few staple places in downtown. But I mean, that was really it. There was the Diamond Shop and Palucci's, of course. But a lot of those other places were just kind of sitting empty. And so there wasn't a lot of draw to come to the downtown, the occasional parade and stuff. But I didn't spend a lot of time in downtown growing up here. But coming back, 12 years after living somewhere else, and watching the very slow growth, I saw so much potential in the downtown. People, historically restoring buildings, renovating, and there's still a lot to do for sure. But even in the last couple of years that I've been back in town, there's been tremendous growth, which is super cool to see and to be a part of, Right. A lot of people think that there's just more businesses coming in just means more competition, but I couldn't disagree more. I think that it's great to have other restaurants and bars and little boutiques and all of these things, bakeries and coffee shops. I mean, the idea of making a day out of downtown is really just so intriguing. Right. We have a beautiful downtown. It's stunning. Yes. So the idea of being a part of that really is one of the main things that I fell in love with.
Yeah, and it just having more happening downtown brings foot traffic, which you might not have had if there wasn't all these other things going on, whether it be other restaurants, coffee shops, shopping, all kinds of stuff down there. It just brings more foot traffic, which I mean, you might have enough people just want to go to your guys' place, but might as well have some people stumble in as well.
There's still plenty of people that don't know that we're tucked in the old town square building. Right. So having that foot traffic is tremendous. Just somebody passing by, what is this? Right. And so they pop in and maybe they're just doing some shopping in downtown and hitting one of the new little boutiques or and they stop in for a beverage, and then it inspires them to come back and maybe try other things. So yeah, I think it's a major positive. Right. Yeah, for sure.
So, what is kind of your guys' favorite thing about being in the business you guys are in?
It's fun.
Yeah, the creativity of it. That I come from theater from when I was a littler kid and teenager, even young adult, and I get that with bartending. Is you're on stage as a bartender,
right?
But you're also creating like an artist. That's to put a drink together and to see that automatic feedback of, oh my God, this is amazing.
Right.
That instant gratification for me, that's the best thing in the world. To have somebody come from Brava's that never even saw me and was like, that's the best old fashioned I've ever had.
Right.
To me, that's worth more than any tip anybody could ever leave. Cause
I feel exactly the same way when people come in and have a bite to eat and they're like, oh, this is incredible. It's kind of the beauty about this industry that gets overlooked so often. There's so much gratification in it. Everybody is living their lives and we all have our own stuff going on. There's always stress and issues and, all of these other things. And people go out to eat and they're like, you know what, I'm not going to think about it for an hour. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to have a good drink, I'm going to have some good food, I'm going to enjoy the company that's around me, and then I'll leave and I'll get back to my life, you know? And so being able to just be in an environment where you kind of see people let go of a lot of that and they don't think about it for a little while, and just come in and have a good meal, it feels good. It
Yeah.
feels really good for people to say, "Oh my gosh, that drink was so fantastic,"
Right.
or "My dinner, my bite size,
Mhm.
you know, is the best I've ever had." It feels really
Right.
good, you know.
Yeah.
So, and having the you know, that's what's really fun about it too, is having kind of that creativity, being
Mhm.
able to come up with these really unique, just kind of mind exploding flavors and
Mhm.
stuff,
Yeah.
and have people try it for the first time and they've never had anything like it, you
Mhm.
know. It is really cool.
Yes.
It's fun. You get to be adventurous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell that, yeah, your guys' atmosphere kind of does, lend to that. You can tell people are kind of, relaxed and you can kind of let loose a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, not let loose, but
Yeah, no,
but yeah, you can definitely feel when people are in your business and kind of just relaxing and enjoying their time rather than, do you guys ever have a weird off night with people or
Oh,
full moons.
full
Yeah.
moods?
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
no?
been a couple.
Yeah.
There's been a couple times I've had to eject a person
Yeah.
from a random wedding or something.
It happens,
It-
but thankfully it's few and far
Around
between.
alcohol, it's bound
Yeah.
to happen. It doesn't
Right.
matter where you're at.
Yeah.
But thankfully, out of all, like I said, out of the 28 years of bartending and 30 years in the industry, this bar is the rarest occasion that I mean, most bars it's once a night,
Right. Yeah.
and with us it's maybe once every quarter.
Well, and that
every
just
month.
plays all into, you know, that the atmosphere that we
Mhm.
create, the hours of operation. You know, many people say nothing good ever happens after midnight.
Yeah.
Well, we close at midnight.
Yeah.
You know, so
Don't
uh,
feed those gremlins.
yeah,
Right,
there's
yeah.
there's a number of things that
Exactly.
we do, and we do it for a reason. You
Mhm.
know, to help prevent that. But
Mhm.
when you're working with the public, there's always things that spring up. You just
Mhm.
deal with them and you move along. And like Kris said, you know, thankfully it's few and far in between.
Yeah. All right. Well, how do people see your guys' advertisements, see what's going on, where you guys at, how to get a hold of you, that kind of stuff?
We definitely utilize social media.
Mhm.
Yeah, got quite a bit of followers on our Facebook page and Instagram and that kind of stuff. We like to keep our website as updated as possible. We put a lot of our events on there, our specials, you know, that kind of stuff, and make sure that everything is easily accessible. You know,
Really
so-
easy phone numbers to remember for both sides.
Yeah.
It's food and beer.
Food and
Food
beer.
and beer. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Food and beer.
Yeah.
Brava's is food, Brock's is beer.
Yeah.
So, and of course, if you can't find one number, which is probably not super realistic, but if you can't find one, you can always call the restaurant or call the bar and be transferred over.
Yeah.
So,
Then 504 Main Street, right on the corner in the Old Town Square building. Brock's is hidden right behind Brava's. You see, Brava's has a nice new sign on Main Street, nice white bright sign. So,
Yes.
yeah. So,
I do like the new sign.
Yeah.
yeah.
They got the new signage in back as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. It says Brock Smirking Goat on the back wall. Yeah.
Mhm.
That made me tear up. Seeing that the day it came. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is huge too in the community. Getting people in the door and learning about us, that's probably your biggest advertisement right there. It's just people talking about you.
Right.
You know, I'm still so surprised at how many people. I had one last night, a girl that's been back in the Valley for a little over a decade and came in for dinner last night with some other family members, and it was her first time in, and she, you know, and she's like, I didn't even know you guys were here, but you know, a friend told me about it. I looked you guys up and saw your menu and made a reservation. You know, so I would say that's the biggest thing, and with that, you know, you have to make sure that that they have a great experience enough to pass that along. So every experience has to be a positive one. Really, really, really pride ourselves on making sure that everybody leaves happy, at the very least content, but we shoot for happy, ecstatic, you know, just can't wait to come back. And so obviously that leads them to telling other people about it, which is your best thing for advertising.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't often go to somewhere right after someone says it's terrible.
Exactly. Absolutely. So.
But yeah, I always kind of shoot your guys' name out there every time someone asks about, where to go
We appreciate
for
it.
dinner. And It's like,
Yeah.
well,
Very much.
if
We
you're
do
not
this.
having pizza at Groundwork, you
That's what I was
gotta
gonna
go
say. We do
Right.
this. We do the same for pizza because
Yeah.
that's one thing we don't offer. So
Right.
we
Right.
send them your way.
I'm sure it'd be great if you did.
Yeah. We'll leave that up to you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I gotta cook tomorrow night over there. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I've been doing it every now and again. Still, it's kind of fun when you're not doing it constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys very much. I hope
Yeah.
I hope this helps you out and kind of
We
shoot some
appreciate
more
it.
people your way and gets to have people get to know you guys a little bit better as well.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yes.
I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys.
Yep.